So here we are about 3 weeks after the launch of D2 Renegades, and it's usually about here that I like to take a look around and kind of gauge where we are with the latest expansion. We've experienced the Star Wars inspired campaign. We did the exotic mission, some of us only once, but many of us several times in order to unlock more upgrades for the Praxic Blade. We've used the new weapons and played the new seasonal activity. We've had another day one dungeon race / contest dungeon come and go, and complete with its own little controversy, as is tradition, of course. So today I wanted to talk about the current state of Destiny 2 and maybe talk about Renegades as a whole. Did it land the way people had hoped it would? Is it good? And looking at the grander scale of things, is it enough to give the D2 player base hope for the future of the franchise? I'll have my own thoughts at the end of the video on this topic. Skip ahead if you want to get right to those, but in the meantime, I wanted to hear from the community. Therefore, I put out a tweet asking people to weigh in with their thoughts and then decided to go through some of the replies live. Let's hear what some people have to say. Mtashed, I watched Mr. Fruit's review of it and didn't play it. His thoughts are almost identical to how I have felt forever. I can't find joy fighting another Vandal, and I can't get excited for the 50th auto rifle when auto rifle at home does the job 5 years in a row. First of all, good to hear from Mtashed. I miss that guy. Really good guy. We are kind of in a loot problem, though. Sometimes we get new weapons and automatically I judge it right away. Either yes, I will go for it, or I write it off forever. We got a new linear fusion rifle. I can't even remember what it's called in the Dawning. And I looked at it and I'm like, you know what? I kind of already have like most of those rolls. I don't even sort of care to grind out the new one. That's kind of the situation you're in when you're in a looter shooter that has been going on for, close to a decade. Legendary primaries are not great. Tassie is correct. We need balance. Hard to pick an auto rifle when I can double special and spam a grenade build. That's a big problem right now, like especially like the Warlock buddy build. Uber broken. Paul Tassie, it good. You can tell why he's a journalist. He's got such a way with words. A real wordsmith. Maybe the Shakespeare of our generation. The campaign was fun, but after that, it's left about as meaningless as the game has been for a while now. Jesus, that's a brutal comment. I did enjoy the campaign. The campaign was quite fun. I enjoyed the dungeon too. The dungeon was fun. The campaign was fun. I've enjoyed a lot of the Star Wars stuff. The heirloom I really liked. The Praxic Blade was fun. The Praxic Blade quest was fun. I loved upgrading the Praxic Blade quest. Finding those hidden stuff in the quest was great. I feel like people are in one of two camps right now. Either they're still playing and they're having fun, but secretly yearning for the 3, if you know what I mean. Or people like Mikey T who have kind of like hard tapped out of the franchise, and it's going to take like a lot to bring them back, Just my opinion. I'm really enjoying it. It has brought the fun back to Destiny. I'm also currently enjoying it. But I'm in like a current situation in Destiny where I'm very comfortable with how much time I put into the game or how much I don't put into the game. Like I go into Destiny, I play it for a bunch, I have a good time, I do the new content, and then if I feel like there's nothing currently to grind for or play for, maybe I take a break. Sandy, I really miss weekly story beats because it feels like that was a good reason to log in at least weekly. Yeah, that's fair. I feel like some people did like that, some people didn't like that, but what are you gonna do? Enjoyed the campaign. Lawless Frontier was more enjoyable than I thought it would have been. Dungeon was awesome, and so was Fire and Ice. That being said, the replayability this time around isn't super for me. That is fair. I think in my very early video about when I played Renegades early at the capture event, not a summit, capture event at Bungie, and I recorded pre-release footage of Renegades, I did say that it was all very fun. I really did enjoy it. I do always worry about long-term replayability. Like, because Lawless Frontier is cool. I think that Lawless Frontier is better than a lot of other seasonal activities we've gotten in the past. Because a lot of old seasonal activities are pretty bad. But, it's like how long can you kind of play for before the replayability issue sort of settles in? But that's always going to be the case. I wish they would take replayability in mind and have 2 or 3 additional missions or options that come out a few months after the initial release. One thing that I think they did, which was kind of good, I wish they would do more like this in the future. The chasing down the Praxic Blade colors kind of increases replayability, because I do want to run through the dungeon again, not only for dungeon loot, but I want to get the Taken Blade. I like the idea of replayability for hunting down cosmetic items because it adds an extra layer of replayability. Still not sold on Star Wars. They still feel like they sold Destiny's soul for the crossover ultimately. Lawless is quite a fun activity though. Cool new guns. Dungeon is okay. Story was all right, but relegating Bale's backstory to lore tabs was a bad call. Yeah, Dawning sucks. Portal still sucks. Some real straight shooting there from Queen Donut. I don't agree about selling the soul for the crossover. I thought that they did a pretty good job with the crossover. I thought it still felt like Destiny and that it was fun. Yeah, I wonder how much more they're going to do to change how we interact with the portal. So we've interacted less with the portal now, I feel like, in Renegades than we did in Edge of Fate. Like, Edge of Fate was a lot of portal interaction, and Renegades was much less portal. Not what the franchise needs. The game will die under the current model. Even with the content being quality here, I did enjoy the campaign. Dungeon and Think Lawless Frontiers is fun. It needs a seismic shift at its core and will bleed players continually until they do, or until D3. If they were going to make a big shift, I would rather that big shift come in the form of D3 rather than trying to reinvent the wheel with D2. 3 will be an illusion that makes people come back for a silly number, and I think that's sad. It depends on what gets done differently, though. Depending on what gets put into the game and what fundamentally changes from 1 to 2 to 3, I don't think it would necessarily be an illusion. Now, there could be a world where they just kind of like take the current system in D2 and just do minor tweaking, and it's like, oh, well, then it didn't really change anything, right? Like, I think you could make all the changes that a D3 would do. You could fundamentally rework the world and do all that in D2, and people still wouldn't come back because it's not D3. Now, that I agree with. They would have to hire on massively to make a D3. I don't even know how many people they have on staff right now. I have no idea. I'm actually really enjoying this season. The grind for the dungeon goodies and Praxic Blade crystals brings me back to a better time when Destiny's grind was exciting and fills you with dopamine when you finally get what you wanted. The Praxic Blade is the best part of the expansion for me. Easily my favorite weapon in the game right now. Good call. I really think that the Praxic Blade was, out of everything under the Renegades umbrella, I think they did a great job with the Praxic Blade. Feels good, looks cool, great cosmetics, highly customizable, great with build crafting, killer exotic quest, run it back with a lot of secrets. I thought it was great. They crushed that part of it. That to me was like a 10 out of 10 for Renegades, despite the fact that, you know, it's not a perfect expansion. There's plenty of work that still needs to be done, but I do think that the Praxic Blade stuff was pretty good. I believe it's a step in the right direction. I want the game to be better in the sense that it is easier for my friends to come back to it. Yeah, and it's getting better. I can say what I got what I asked for. My next big hope is for the return of the Leviathan raid. Oh, buddy. They've done, I think, a better job of getting people to come back to the game. I've heard from a lot of people that they came back for Renegades and they had a lot of fun. People who like completely missed out on Edge of Fate. It's still probably a really confusing experience for people coming back. Overall, a good Destiny expansion. Nothing revolutionary, but what we got is good Destiny. Borrowing from Datto, it is just more Destiny. So if you were a fan of the game, it is solid. If you weren't, it is still a skip. Like, if you're already enjoying Destiny in 2025, you were probably likely going to enjoy Renegades. But if you left after Final Shape or whatever, and you're waiting for something big to pull you back in, something groundbreaking, I don't think that this was that. But I still happen to enjoy it. It's just everybody's going to be kind of different with how they feel about Renegades, you know? Better than Edge of Fate. That's about it. No raid sucks. I mean, I've been kind of torn thinking about new raid stuff. Because deep down in my heart of hearts, I would love a raid, a new raid every major expansion. But the one thing I don't want is to rush a raid. New raids are fun. New raids bring people back. Not everybody, but they bring some people back. And having a good raid is awesome, fun, love it, love it, love it, love it. But a bad raid? Y'all remember a little thing I like to call Root of Nightmares? That didn't exactly, you know, win people over. I would rather, if it meant that the raid was good, I would rather get one raid per year as opposed to two. If we could get 2 raids per year and they weren't rushed, great, I would take that, but I don't want to rush the rad team. They're doing the Lord's work over there. I really don't want to rush them at all. It's really, really freaking good. The Lawless Frontier and the dungeon are fun to play. Stories and hints toward upcoming story are great, although the campaign relies a bit too hard on Lawless Frontier activity. Agreed. It is still one of the better expansions. People should try it out. I do think it is one of the better expansions. I do think that. I think it's leagues better than Edge of Fate. I don't know why this comment is making me laugh so much. This should have benefited to be a larger expansion with more impact. Is Bungie hiring? Can we get this guy on the payroll? Can we get this guy a job application form? The expansion should have been larger with more impact. Yes. My dinner should have been tastier with a larger steak. It's like when you go to a fancy restaurant and buy a nice expensive dinner that ends up being 2 bites with the next meal not coming for a few months. I do wonder how much I'm going to play between now and the next major expansion in 2026. In like 2026, I'm going to enjoy Destiny when I can, when there's something for me to chase, when there's something for me to do, I'm going to play it. And I'm always going to hope and pray and cross my fingers for more Destiny content, especially content that I enjoy, content that will bring people back and get people excited about the game. But I'm not going to push myself. I'm not going to murder myself, right? I'm not going to whip myself to log on and play every day if I maybe feel like there's not something for me to do in the game. Why bang my head against the wall? And that way, when new content does come down the pipe and it's fun and new and it looks interesting, I hop on and I'm going to enjoy it that much more. I've had some time to think since going through those replies live, and if you're asking me my personal opinion, it hasn't really changed a ton. The answer to the question, was Renegades enough, is going to highly depend on who you ask. Even if Renegades is way better than Edge of Fate, which I personally feel that it is, some players have just permanently moved on from Destiny, and they're not really going to come back no matter what they hear, unless the word Destiny is now accompanied with a big number 3. I have, however, heard from a bunch of people who did come back to Renegades after hearing good things about it and wound up enjoying it, which I think is kind of cool. I still think we're at the point in Destiny's lifespan where only real, giant, monumental changes are going to make player numbers really climb. I'm talking major changes to the portal, major changes to the power grind, major changes to PvP, which I feel has been left out in the sun at this point. And it sounds far-fetched, but I mean, hey, if you look at games like No Man's Sky and Warframe, while they're not 100% comparable to D2, they're definitely in the same ballpark, and they've had awesome improvement stories despite being around for years. Still though, while I feel like Renegades is a large improvement over Edge of Fate, and I also do think that D2 could continue to improve, I still personally am hoping that one day we'll just wake up to Bungie tweeting out a picture of a giant number 3. But that's an entirely different topic altogether. Let me know how you feel about Destiny 2 Renegades overall down in the comment section. Did you enjoy it? Were you looking for more? Do you think D2 could continue to build and be stronger in 2026? Or deep down, like me, do you kind of yearn for the 3? Let me know. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.